This week in the Dibley Diaries, we're going to be thinking in Thought for the Week about when the passage in Mark 6 where Jesus sends out his disciples to do tasks, and he tells them not to take a lot of baggage with them. Don't take extra things with you, only take what you need. Pack really lightly for this journey. And I've been thinking of the Rural Challenge, and I can't think of anything other than the church buildings. That's just overwhelming. In rural communities, there might just be 8 or 10 people in a worshipping community, but those people will have legal responsibility for their grade 1 listed church building, and it is a huge burden for them. It's a really difficult thing for them to carry. They can't travel light in their mission whilst they are taking good care of such a difficult and expensive building to maintain. One of the places where I've worked in the past, admittedly this was a bigger community, but we decided that we really wanted to put a toilet facility into the church building so that we could do more children's work, and made it easier for older people to be in the building, and made it easier for school visits. That toilet cost £70,000, 70, by the time we'd done all the work that had to be done and how we'd blended it into the building, and we'd had an archaeological survey, and we'd done all the things that we needed to do. It was so expensive and so complicated and took us such a long time. When it was put in, it was amazing, and it really changed the way that we were able to do mission, how we were able to meet as a worshipping community, but it had been such a burden for us. I don't know the answer to this. Certainly in other places where the church communities are smaller than that one, there's such a burden of looking after the building. It's such a difficult thing for people to carry alongside their mission responsibilities, the care of the building. Ancient church buildings are beautiful, they're lovely, people have prayed in them for centuries, but they're still a big burden for the worshipping community now at this present time to carry alongside what they normally do. Some of the work that we do here, we don't meet in the church buildings. In some of the villages we have extra meetings which happen in the village hall. It has clean toilets, it has a kitchen, it has good lighting, it's really easy to heat, and actually it's a really good place for us to gather and worship as a community in those places. But so it's a really hard balance. I don't know the answer. I don't know how we can make it easier for church communities to care for the buildings which they legally have, but we need to think about how we can lessen that burden for the worshipping communities who are trying to do Jesus' mission, but also have these burdens of buildings that they need to care for. Thought for the week this week is based on the passage in Mark 6 that we have, and in particular I'm going to be thinking about verses 8 and 9, where Jesus is sending the disciples out on a teaching and preaching mission. So he's sending them out, and he says, you can take some things, but don't take other things, don't take anything else. So he talked about them taking their normal clothes, he talked about them taking a staff, he talked about them wearing sandals, but he said don't take 2 tunics with you, don't take money in your belt, don't take a bag, don't take bread for the journey. So you just go and you just take your staff, your sandals, your normal clothes, your belt, but don't take these other things. And I think that's interesting for us when we're thinking about packing and not packing. What do we take? What don't we take? I always think of the U2 lyric at this point where it goes, we're packing a suitcase for a place we've never been, a place that has to be believed to be seen. We're packing a suitcase to a place we've never been, a place that has to be believed to be seen. But it's really difficult, isn't it, to know when we can do God's mission with what we have and when we need something extra. Would we need something extra for doing God's mission? And we can get stuck in both places. We can get stuck with trying to pack a bigger bag of stuff. We might say, well, we can't do God's mission until we've got this, or until we've got that, or until we've got this other thing. We can't do that. Or we could say, oh yeah, we have to take all this stuff with us. But actually what God wants us to say is, I've got the things that I need and now I'm going to do it. Many years ago, many years ago now, I went to an archdeacon's visitation for mainly rural churches, and he preached on the parable of the loaves and the fishes, and he said, you have everything you need to do your mission. You have everything you need to do your mission. And I sat there thinking, I'm really not sure that I do have everything that I need to do the mission that I've been called to. I think I could do with someone to help with this thing, I could do with someone to help with that thing. And I was in a state about it, but he was really right. He was really right. Actually, God calls us to take simply what we have and to get on with it, to do what we can with what we have, and not to allow ourselves to be burdened with either what we don't have or things that we do have that we don't need. Things that we do have that we don't need. So I wonder what it is in your church community that it is right for you to have and to use for your mission. I wonder what is your staff. I wonder what's your pair of sandals. I wonder what it is that Jesus wants you to use and to take with you on your mission journey. But what is it that he wants you to leave behind? What is it that you shouldn't be taking? What is the equivalent of your second tunic? What is the money belt? What are the things that you might rely on other than God when you're going about the mission of teaching and preaching that we are all called to as church communities? It's a challenge for us. We might think we don't have enough, or we might not know how to deal with what we do actually have, but God is calling us to use what we have, not to overburden ourselves, and to just get on with the teaching and preaching with what we have to hand, the things that we really need to do that. The Dibley moment for the week this week is thinking about bags. What is it that you take in your bag if you go to church activity or a church service? And we had someone in one of the churches where I used to work who always brought a bag with him, and I never knew what was in it, but he would worry about where he'd put it, and he'd be worrying where it was, and then he would take it away, and I'd never know what was in his bag. But the best bag that my friend used to bring to church was a bag that contained a pair of washing up gloves, a bottle of washing up liquid, and 2 clean tea towels. And this friend was such a blessing, and her bag was such a blessing to me, because you know, you turn up at a church activity or a church service, and after the service you just very quietly get on with washing up, tidying everything away, drying everything away, putting it away, and it was such a blessing. So I wonder what it is you could take in a bag to church this week which would make your vicar think, wow, that is such a blessing that we have the things in that bag today. That's it for the Dibley Diaries this week. I pray that you and your village, however large or small, have a really blessed week when you are able to work out what it is that you should be carrying with you into your mission, and what it is that you should be leaving behind.